and this is my overview of my phonemic awareness lesson plan. My teacher objective is distinguishing which two words have the same medial target sounds in a given set of spoken words. For my review, I would go through and review initial sounds. And I would have on my whiteboard several words that have the same initial sound that we worked on yesterday. I would have words like bus, bike, cat, kite, dog, dad. And then as a group, we would go through and just review and match those beginning sounds in those words. And then I would ask a couple of questions. How do we know what the initial sound is? Then I would ask, in the word cow, what would the initial sound be? And I would go through cow and I would sound it out for them. And then I would wait for the students to respond. And then when they came back with a response, I would ask them, why is that the initial sound? Why isn't what the initial sound? And then the last question I would ask them is, what is the initial sound in bear? Just to make sure that they get enough review. And then I would move into the medial sounds. My overview is my purpose and importance to help students be able to sound out words, recognize what the medial sounds in words are, and be able to match words with the same medial sounds to prepare them for reading. For continuity, the past would be yesterday we learned about initial sounds and we learned to match initial sounds in words. Today we're learning about medial sounds and to match medial sounds in the set of given words. And tomorrow we would learn about final sounds and to match the final sounds in words. For my motivation, I chose to use a Sesame Street video on phonemic awareness. It's kind of silly, but I thought it was fun.
Fat. Cat. Sat. Hat. Fat. 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 Cat. 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 Sat. 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 Hat. 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 A fat cat sat on a hat, saw a rat on a mat, got a vat, had a chat with a gnat, then he pat in a vat that was flat. Oh yeah! Oh yeah.
Okay, so that video is about 2 minutes long, and it goes through all of the sounds. It goes through the ah, and other sounds like that. So I would let it play out, and then once we got done with the video, I would ask the kids what words they heard and if they had anything in common. So I'd give them a few minutes to spit out some words, and then I would say, okay, well, we heard cat and hat and bat, and what words in that, what is common in those words? Then I would move into my lesson. And for this, I said the students will be able to identify and match medial sounds in words with 85% accuracy. So for the first one, I will model the sound bag activity. And what I would do is I'd have a table in the classroom, a paper bag with several objects inside of it, and then another group of objects beside it that matches the medial sounds that are in this bag. So this one, I have a truck. So I would ask the kids, what is this? Truck. Okay, well, let's sound out the truck. And as a group, we would go through and we would sound out truck. And after we did that, I would say, okay, well, I've got some things on my desk here. Let me find what matches truck. The middle sound for truck is right? This is the U. It makes the sound. So on my desk, we have duck. And duck matches truck. So then I would go through with the kids and I would have them sound out duck. Then I would go through that a couple of times until they were familiar with the activity. And once they were familiar, I'd ask them if they had any questions. And if they didn't, we were good, we would move into our first activity, and I would break them up as into pairs. And then each pair would take turns coming up. And one student would pull out an object in the bag, and they would tell us as a class what the object was and what the medial sound of that object is. And then his or her partner, would pick out the object on the table that matched the object in his partner's hand. And then he or she would explain to the class what it is and why the medial sound is the same as his partner's. So after we go through that, then we would end, everybody would go back and we'd move on to our second activity. And for our second activity, we're going to do the move and tell board game. And on the move and tell board game, the object of the game is for the students to go through, whoever wins or ends first wins, obviously, but they're going to go through and they are going to find the medial sounds in the pictures where they land. So I'd go through the pictures just to make sure that they knew what everything is. We've got the number 6, a rock, a pan. This little one is pointing to the cone. There's an arrow. So I'd make sure that we're not looking at the ice cream cone as a whole, but we're looking just at the cone and what medial sound is in cone. And then we have glue and a rope. And this is a purse and a mop and a bell. So I'd go through, and the kids are they're going to be broken up into 3 groups. They're each going to have their own board game. And then with their board game, they'll have a bag that has a die and some game pieces. And for this activity, I just pulled game pieces from my games at home for the students to use in the classroom. And then before I set them up in groups, I would make sure that they understood what their objective is. And that I would also let them know that if they do not get the medial sound right, they have to move back a step. So this, being working in groups of pairs, this activity holds the students accountable to recognize, well, that's not right, or that is right. And then as the students are going through it and doing their independent activity, I'll walk through and be listening for anything that I need to come in on and assist with. Then after we played that, I'd give them a while to play that, and we would move into my closure. And for that, I would provide the students with a middle match worksheet. We're going to do this worksheet together as a whole, but I liked this worksheet because it has pictures, excuse me, pictures of animals and sentences to go along with it. And the object is to find the word in the sentence that has the same middle sound as the picture has. So for the first one, it's a picture of a cat. And the sentence said, I took my cat off. Well, I'd ask the students, what word in that sentence sounds like cat, the medial sound of cat? So if they were having difficulty picking out the word, we would go through the sentence word by word until we made sure that they understood and they were able to match those sounds. Then for my homework, I'd send a note home to the parents to let them know what was going on, but it will be for the students to find 2 objects at their house that have the same medial sound. And I would ask them in the note to bring it back to class for a show and tell, and I would use that as my review in my next lesson before we started learning about final sounds. For my early finishers, I'd provide them with a worksheet that they can color. And this worksheet is a picture that has a bunch of random objects in it. And this worksheet focuses on the medial sound of E. So they would go through and they would color every picture within this picture that has the same medial sound. For my special needs students, I would work one-on-one with any of the students that may have special needs or a reading disability. I would go over the same activities that we did in classroom. I would break it down a little bit more for them if I needed to, and we would do this until they understood what was going on. And if I had a paraprofessional or a teacher's aide in the room, then I would pair these students with them. For remediation, same thing. I would work with the students one-on-one, but I would play the board game with them. I think that would be a fun activity for them to be active and interactive with one another, and they have a goal, a finishing goal. It almost makes it a little competitive, so hopefully that would help them understand. And for enrichment, I would provide them with a worksheet packet on medial sounds. And the worksheet packet is just got a bunch of pictures on it with different words. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult because they're actually having to write in that medial sound, whereas we've just been working on orally saying it. They're going to have to take what they've learned orally and then apply it to the missing letter in the word. So for the first one, it's pig. And they have the letter P, a space, and a G. So the student would have to sound that out and find out that I is the missing letter. There's just 3 pages of this, and they're all the same, same concept. And then for my reflective comments, there are none. Thank you.